everyone. Welcome back to the Talkoffame podcast. I'm Kylie Montigney. Today we have Mollie Leivars joining us today for today's episode. Mollie is a writer and director based in East Midlands. She started writing and directing back in 2019, making her first short film when she was 15 years old, and after moving over from the acting industry. Since then, she's been lucky enough to work with schools and local police forces to showcase the films where they have the short films shown at film festivals across the UK and the USA. And she also teaches and mentors young actors and filmmakers on how to start their careers. Thank you so much, Mollie, for joining us today. How are you?
I'm all good. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm super excited to have you on. I know we've been trying to do this for a certain point, so I'm so
I
happy
know.
I finally would be able to do this.
Definitely. It's so exciting.
100%. Yeah, and so if people are kind of not familiar or want to learn more about you, like, can you tell us maybe a little bit more about you and your work? I know I did a little bit intro about it, but in case people want kind of more information.
So I kind of fell into it really. It was kind of all by accident. I was at school and I realized that I really loved drama, which I wasn't expecting at all because I was really kind of anxiety ridden as a child and teenager. But then I started acting, and then through acting I learned more about the industry and how things worked and everything. So then I made my first film when I was 15, and that was kind of a whirlwind. But yeah, ever since then, it's just kind of it's like more short films have been made, and I've been focusing a lot on the writing side of things as well. So in future, I'd really love to write for TV and things like that, because
Mhm.
that's where my heart is. But yeah, it's just kind of it's a very weird little thing that I fell into.
Yeah, like it's like the same thing for me. It's like I didn't expect to be in podcasting. Growing up, I had anxiety as well. So, it's always like I feel like every time I speak with someone, they all maybe have anxiety and they said it was a mistake, which is like I'm just like, are you serious? Like, is that how everyone started out is with anxiety and it's all like unexpected? This
Yeah.
is crazy. But like, how did you make your first short film at only 15 years old? Like, I cannot imagine like going through that process at 15 years old.
It was, I mean, I look back on it now and I think I was probably a little bit insane, but I can't remember writing the script at all, which I always find really weird, but I think it's because it was something that I was supposed to do. So I can't remember when I had the idea for it or anything. I just know that it hadn't happened and then the script was there kind of thing. But no, I think I was just trying things out and seeing if I could write scripts. And then I had like a full short and I thought, oh, okay, see if I can make it, not ever expecting it to actually happen. And then I think it just kind of ran away with me a little bit. I think like being able to get people together and stuff, and I realized how much fun it was and how exciting it was. And that was when I first started realizing, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is like what makes my heart sing, kind of thing. But yeah, it was really fast paced and it was really random, and it was a lot of trial and error. I made so many mistakes with my first film, but I hadn't gone to film school or anything like that, so this was my first shot at it. So it was very much a case of I learned as I went. But I had such wonderful people around me and wonderful people that were part of the cast and crew that they like championed me throughout it all. So I'm always so thankful for that, for them making that first film experience brilliant.
Yeah, like of course I'm only 15 years old. Like I cannot imagine making a short film. I can like that is like at 15 years old, that is something I would like literally die over is making a short film and making it seem like it was so perfect. But like how did you kind of get everyone together to make this film? Because I know with making a short film, it's not a one person job.
Yeah, definitely. it was, I think because I come from an acting background, then there were a few people that I knew already, which was really handy. I don't know what I would have done if this was my first industry thing ever. So there are a few people that I knew or that I'd seen auditions before and things like that. So that was really nice to be able to work with those people finally. And then a lot of it was kind of friends of friends and social media. That was a massive tool to use, kind of putting it out there and being like, would anyone like to be involved? But yeah, so it really was, it was a massive whirlwind.
Yeah, that's honestly the best thing why social media exists is that like, okay, I need people to work on this project. Why not post on social
Exactly.
media? Like it just realizes how social media is such a big tool, especially in
Mhm.
acting or entertainment itself.
Definitely.
And like, is there like any issues or meaning that kind of inspire you to create your short films?
It was my first short film was about knife crime, and that came from I had moved from where I grew up into an area that didn't have as much knife crime. And it was only when I moved out of the area that I thought that I kind of realized that it wasn't, I don't know how to word it, but I realized when I moved out that it was such a huge issue. And I think it's when you're living in a place where it's a bit common, then you kind of become a little bit desensitized to it in a way, which obviously isn't good. But I think that it was only when I moved out of that area that I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. So that was where the idea for that one came from. And then a lot of it has been personal experience, kind of things that I've experienced myself or that family or friends have, that where they kind of give me permission to use their experiences and stuff. So a lot of it has been the things that I've seen or the things that I've seen around me as well.
Ooh, like that's really awesome because I know with a lot of people that write short films, they're like, okay, I just go do an imaginary, like use an imaginary mind, which I can't. Like personally, I cannot do that because I'm like I do not have a creative mind like most writers usually write. So I'm like I just rather do it on my life probably if I had to write a short film. But if you could like have any actor be in one of your short films, who would it be?
Oh, that's like the hardest question ever.
I know. It's like choosing your
Oh
favorite
gosh.
child. I know.
I
It's like,
know. Um, oh God, this is so difficult. What have I been watching recently? I watched Vigil recently, and I always think that Saran Jones is amazing. But I have always said that I'd always love to do a short film with Louis Theroux. I
mm.
don't know how it would work, but he doesn't even have to try. He's so funny and he's so sarcastic. So I think just a short film just with him in it would be amazing. I've got no idea if that could ever happen. But
Hey,
if Louis Theroux is
there's
watching, then
always something that might come up. Like he's a good actor. Like there's
exactly,
always something that can make it work. It's not like it's not gonna happen right on the spot.
definitely. But yeah, I think he'd be amazing. I think he'd be kind of comedy without having to try. I think that would be brilliant.
Yeah, this comedy without actually thinking straight will probably
Yeah.
be hilarious will be. But what type of youth issues do you think are happening in today's world that you think would be kind of like a great movie?
I think at the minute, I think social media is a massive thing. It's a huge tool and it can be done for so much good, but I think it can also be used for so much bad as well. So I think that there's a lot of instances currently with teens and young people where pictures and videos and inappropriate things are being shared about them online, which obviously can have a massive devastating effect for everyone involved. So I think that that's a major issue that I've come across right now is how quickly things can be shared and how even like once that's out there, then that's out there and that's it. And the power of the internet and things like that. So I think I found as well that a lot of people don't realize that when they share things like that, then they're doing something illegal, which is something that I didn't even know before I kind of looked into it. So yeah, I think stuff like that, and I think how social media can be used in a bad way because it's everywhere for people, you know, it's in your house because it's on your phones and things. So I think it's a massive issue. It can do so much good, but it is an issue, definitely.
You're exactly right because I absolutely like I know everyone loves social media. Like there's so many like pros and cons to it, but with having like especially with putting yourself out there, like
Mhm.
there's like so many people that absolutely love to tear you down with different things. And that's like,
Yep.
in my opinion, the worst part about social media in the public eye
Mhm.
is that like you would get hate for whatever you say, what you do, or what you look like. Like even the smallest things you would get hate for.
Definitely. It's I think it's a situation where you can't necessarily win. I think even if you were the most perfect human being ever, people would still find fault or find an issue with things like that. So I think when you get older, it's easier because then you can kind of put blinkers on, and then it's you don't really notice it as much, and you can filter things out and stuff like that. But I think when you're young and you are growing up in an era of social media, it can be really impactful. So I think it's about kind of like limiting the damage that can be done at a young age. Because it's always going to happen, you know, it's always going to be a thing that people experience, whether it be in person or online. So, but I think it's stopping it from happening when people are so young.
Right? Especially with me and you growing up with social media, like all growing up, we knew everything about social media. Social media was something in our lives, but like our parents, they didn't have social media when they were
Hmm.
kids. Like it's like the difference between the Gen Z generation and millennial generation is that like,
Hmm.
okay, grew up with social media. We knew what to do. We knew what
Hmm.
hate was, or of course, like also watching television can influence how we act, or even the household we live in can influence so many things. But with
Definitely.
growing up with social media, it can be such a positive, but
Mhm.
also a big toxic way to grow up nowadays, especially.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and like for you, like what is kind of like the most challenging part as a writer?
I think it's I think it's probably getting in my own head, to be honest. I think there's a lot of I find that there's a lot of imposter syndrome surrounding it. So I'll write something and I'll be happy with it at the time. And then it's kind of that little voice in the back of your head is like, no. So I think it's about separating yourself from what you've written. I think it's easier with film because obviously other people are involved in it. So the final product, that's also a testament to other people's involvement and things. So for me, when I watch that, I'm always so proud of the fact that people have been willing to be involved in things that I've done that that my side of it doesn't necessarily always come into it. But then when it's writing and when it's just purely writing and it's just me, then I think insecurities come out and it gets a bit like I think that's the biggest challenge is separating my own thoughts and feelings on it and then looking at it from like a film point of view instead of a me point of view, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I honestly feel that so much because, of course, as like a writer or someone that kind of writes about different things, as a blogger, there's so many things. I oftentimes do get that way. I'm like, okay, I hate this writing piece I did. Like, what do I do to help it? Even though I'm a person that hates asking for help, I'm the type of person that always loves to judge my work. Like, even I've been doing this for years and I still judge it. Like,
Mhm.
like everyone kind of judges what they do in a way. Like there's
Mhm.
nothing bad about it. You're just like, okay, like what is this project I wrote that's probably not going to get anyone to work on it? Like it's like being a writer is something like so difficult, but also so
Mhm.
fun at the same time that you're like,
Yeah.
okay, this writing piece is horrible. I'm gonna restart this over again.
Yeah.
Like, let's redo it.
Delete everything.
Yeah, delete everything and just start
Yeah.
a new little intro, like a new
Mhm.
type of thing. But I wanted to ask you, like, what is Spirit Productions?
So Spirit Productions was, I set that up. It's a production company mainly, and I set that up as a way to produce short films, so kind of under that umbrella. And then as time went on, it became a place where I could host workshops
Ooh.
and kind of teach acting and filmmaking and things like that to young people, still under that kind of Spirit Productions umbrella.
Ooh, like when did you kind of start this whole production company?
So that was when I was 15 as well. That was when I think it was initially because I was really nervous to put my name to anything. I think because my first film, I was so worried about it because I had no idea how it was going to turn out or because I had no idea what I was doing. So I wanted to do it under Spirit Productions so that I felt like it wasn't just silly me like doing something. It felt like I was a part of something, which I really loved because then obviously the people that were involved in the film then they became a part of it as well. So yeah, so it just kind of happened by accident again, really.
Yeah, like that's kind of like what I was is like when I started this podcast, I'm like, I like no one's gonna listen to a podcast. Like not a lot of people love podcasts. And I literally started expanding different things by accident. And I'm like, what did I just do with my life? Like there's so many things that you just add by accident just so you can spend your work and you're like, okay, this is nothing. I need to do something else right with my life right now.
Mhm, definitely.
But like what types of like workshops do you guys offer at Spirit Productions?
So a lot of it has been at the minute there's nothing going on because I've recently moved, which is a massive shame because I had to leave my previous group, which made me so sad. But a lot of the in-person ones, they were acting for film and TV. So instead of theatre acting, it was doing things like TV soaps and scripts and auditions and cold reads and stuff like that. So it was if the students then wanted to go on to work on things like soaps or TV shows or something, then they'd have the tools with them to do that. And then the filmmaking ones, that was a thing of we collectively kind of create scripts and then took them through to production. And now that I've moved, that's something that we'll be looking at now is being able to have them in production, which is really exciting.
Ooh, that's so exciting. I'm sure there's gonna be many projects in 2024, right?
Definitely, there's a lot happening at the minute that's mental.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. Like, if I was in that position, I'm just ready to have just a full blow some meltdown at this moment. Like this is too much. But before we head off, I want to ask you, like, how can people work with you?
Honestly, just send me a message. I'm always up for anything really. So if there's any projects that anyone wants any help with or anything that I can kind of be involved in or something, then honestly just always message me or email me or something. It's always like just my name across everything really. So yeah, I'm always makes my day when people message me about things like
I'm the
that.
same exact way. Like whenever someone texts me about something, I'm just like, yes, yes, and
Yeah,
yeah, please. But I want
definitely.
to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. I really appreciate you coming on, taking the time. Your production company and everything you're doing is amazing. I can't wait to see
Thank
what
you.
projects you have coming out in 2024. And I'm sure there's going to be so much for you coming up. And I really appreciate everyone listening to this episode. I know there's a bunch of episodes coming out right now, which is amazing. So many bookings, but I really appreciate everyone catching up on these episodes. It means so much. And thank you so much, Molly, for taking the time to chat with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.